Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. Happy 2020. Sorry it's a bit late, but yeah, we're back finally with some reviews for the year of 2020. We'll see how successful this year is. Hopefully, we'll make it a good one. So, yeah, today I'm reviewing an album that came out about a week ago. And if any of you saw my review for the Blind Guardian Twilight Orchestra album that came out the second half of last year, you'll know that I am a huge fan, as well as my brother is, of Blind Guardian and their music. To me, they're just one of the best power metal bands that have ever existed, probably the best power metal band on the planet, and they've made some of my favorite albums of all time. So, in the year 1999, the vocalist of Blind Guardian, Hansi, he formed a side project with the guitarist of the band Iced Earth, um, John Schaefer, I believe is how you pronounce his name. They named the band Demons and Wizards, and they've very sparing release of music. This is their third album in 20 years, which is quite a long way to leave it. Taking a note out of Tool's book, I see. But the pair claim that their music is meant to forge the signature parts of both their bands. You've got the dark melodies of Iced Earth and the powerful, epic vocals of Blind Guardian. Allegedly, the name of the band is in reference to that partnership. Fair enough, I suppose. If you wanted a powerful vocalist, you couldn't do much better than Hansi, if you ask me. But despite all of that, despite how big of a fan I am of Blind Guardian, I haven't actually heard any Demons and Wizards albums before. I don't know why. I just have never got round to it. However, I haven't really rushed to do so. Hansi is one of my favourite vocalists. You know this. I think he's one of the best in metal, to be honest. But however, I love Blind Guardian for more than just that, more than just Hansi. I love their aesthetic. I love their dedication to the fantasy genre, which is felt in all their albums. I love learning about what all their songs are inspired by, what they're based off, and reading around them and just getting really absorbed into it, and so much more. So having Hansi in a different band, yes, will have the vocals I love, no doubt. It might not have all the other things that I look for in that kind of music. That's not a preemptive condemnation of this album. I'm not going to say at the end it's not Blind Guardian, therefore it's rubbish. I just had no desperate need to hear this particular side project. But another reason why my enthusiasm wasn't massive, I'm probably expecting some grief for this, but I've never heard Iced Earth. Not one song. Music is vast, alright, especially metal. I just haven't heard them yet. So, with that, don't expect any examination or comparison to how this album does or does not sound like any Iced Earth music or anything like that. So, yeah, onto the album itself. Just take a swig of beer. Goose IPA. It's alright. Anyway, so, released last week. We have the third album, aptly called 3, by Demons and Wizards. And I know it's a very safe assumption to anyone listening to this band, but in any case, having heard this album, I hope you like Blind Guardian, because this might as well be a Blind Guardian album. That's somewhat of an exaggeration in some respects, but I feel you could fool someone into making them think this was a Blind Guardian album if you didn't tell them that it was a side project. Um, the only suspect moments, I suppose, would be the guitar writing, which I'll come back to in a second. That might be the only thing that twigs you onto the fact that this is something completely different. But if I were to pick a Blind Guardian album that I think this album reminds me of the most, it would be Blind Guardian's album A Night at the Opera, which is one of their more unique albums, to be fair. It airs on the side of epic without using a full-on orchestra, but yeah, never goes into full epic orchestration that they would utilize in later albums, and has very high layered vocals by Hansi. So much like that album, on this one you've got epic but not much orchestration, if at all, and very high vocal layers from Hansi. All that said, this album isn't completely devoid of moments that are unique by Blind Guardian standards. The other songwriter in the band is from Iced Earth, after all. And I can completely believe that he is the guitarist of Iced Earth, because to me it's the riffing on this album that makes it its own thing. Again, I haven't listened to Iced Earth, so I don't know if this is typical riffing by their standards. But either way, hearing it with Hansi's signature vocals, it does indeed provide a somewhat different vibe from what I've heard from Hansi's other band, and it works really, really well. I liked this album quite a lot, actually. After the many prog metal bands I've had to review over the last few months, which I love, by the way, but I really enjoyed hearing this more laid back, enjoyable power metal album. It's not especially deep or massively epic by my favourite kind of power metal bands, but it's a strong and satisfying listen. From the start of the album, you hear John Schaefer's songwriting or instrumentation with the opening song Diabolic, which has a decent build up before Hansi comes bursting in, really. If for nothing else, the clean guitar tone from John Schaefer sounds nothing like the clean guitar tone from Blind Guardian, so you kind of know from the start you're doing something different. But the song as a whole, I think, is a great display of the riffing across the entire album. It has a signature riff, which is sort of used as the recurring riff for the song, but they use it to cleverly go between sections and fill out the back end of verse 2 specifically, I think it is. It feels more beefy than any riff Blind Guardian have ever done. So if you think the guitar work on those albums don't quite grab you completely, I think you would like this song in particular, as well as plenty of moments throughout the whole album. But I, of course, have to bring up Hansi on the vocals. I'd be remiss if I didn't. He's as amazing as he's ever been. I mentioned earlier on this album that it reminds me of Blind Guardian's A Night at the Opera. I feel I have to stress every time Blind Guardian's A Night at the Opera for obvious reasons. But that's just because Hansi's vocals and how they are layered. We get those numerous vocal layers which go really high at times, especially during choruses, as well as on the opening track Diabolic. Even this late into his career, Hansi can still get up there. I didn't even notice how long this song was, which is a good sign that it's a really good song. I love the intro to the song Wolves of Winter. It's really punchy and really brooding. Also, further demonstration of Hansi's vocals, which is always great. The song as a whole is more simple and punchy, rather than an array of fast riffing, but it's a nice change of pace. It's also really, really catchy. Later on in the album, I love the song Dark Side of Her Majesty, which is a fucking awesome title, by the way. I really like this song especially. This could easily be... I feel like this song could easily be put on A Night at the Opera, sorry, Blind Guardian's A Night at the Opera. I love that album, so I love this as well. It's epic at points without needing a full orchestra, although there are a few strings here and there just to give it that little push that it needs. And the vocal layering on this one especially is magnificent. I pretty much like every single song on this album, but I'm not crazy about one in particular, to be honest. It's the song Timeless Spirit. It has one mostly unchanging riff that goes throughout the whole song. Sure, it starts acoustic and becomes distorted and bigger later on, but the riff itself hardly changes at all. What happens throughout the song are various embellishments over the top of the riff, be it from the vocals or little guitar licks here and there. It feels like an improvisational exercise, which I'm sure to some people is really cool, but not really my kind of thing, and especially as it's over 9 minutes. For a song like that with a central riff that doesn't change, that's not really for me. But other than that, there isn't too much more to say about the album. It's simple and it's to the point. I feel like it probably didn't need to be a little over an hour long, but I was never bored of listening to it, except for Timeless Spirit. I did skip that song on the second listen, I won't lie. But I enjoyed all but that one song, and it ended on a satisfying note, and it was a really good time. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know how often I'll rush back to hear it necessarily. It's not like it's absorbed my full attention like, I don't know, At the Edge of Time by Blind Guardian or Nightfall in Middle-earth. But if you're one of those people who've been desperately waiting for the follow-up for this side project, I know there's people who have really wanted this band to continue, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it was really worth the wait. If you like Blind Guardian but prefer their pre-orchestral epic sound, then you'll probably find stuff to really, really latch onto here. And who knows, if you're a fan of Ice you might like this. I have absolutely no idea, but whatever. I'll probably hear some Ice off the back of this, you never know. But yeah, simple review, simple album, but no less a really good one. And I enjoyed it quite a lot. So yeah, Demons and Wizards, pretty good third album. So yeah, hope you're glad to see me back. Hopefully I'll stick around. I've got another review written and ready to record, so that will come out very soon as well. It's kind of a surprising one. I think people won't see this one coming, but it's a really interesting album that I want to talk about, so hope you stick around for that. Cheers for watching this video. Subscribe, do whatever you want to do, no pressure, whatnot. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.